Hello, and welcome to Store Stories. Every Friday, I want to talk about the weird stuff I dealt with working at a grocery store. The last video I made kind of blew up a little bit, kind of made me nervous. Having 300 something video views in 2 weeks, that's just it happened for my videos. But anyway, one day, working as a cashier, this kid was screaming his head off. And the kid was, the entire time the family was shopping, she was just screaming and shaking and just screaming. And trust me, I've worked at the store long enough to see my fair share of temper tantrums. I don't have any kids myself, but I've seen tantrums. It's just, I'm not so sure about this one. It's the way the kid was screaming and shaking and just constantly screaming for like, it was over an hour. This kid just screaming her head off the entire time they were in the store. It must have been an hour and a half of just this kid screaming the entire time she was in the store. And the kid is screaming like there's something legitimately wrong with her. And I gotta say, listening to somebody's kid screaming for 90 plus minutes, it is really agonizing. I don't know if you have your own kids, write in the comments, can you stand it when your kid is screaming like that? Because, I don't know, it's other people, and there are plenty of people, their kids are screaming and they're just oblivious to it. But that's another video. And I guess eventually their mother got tired of her screaming because as she was walking up to the register, she goes, "Here, fine, have your freaking Pop-Tarts." She threw the Pop-Tarts at the little kid.
Yeah, that sounds healthy.
Hey, it's not my place to tell a parent what they can and can't have their kid eat. But here's the thing. Normally, when a kid's throwing a tantrum and they get what they were screaming about, they'll stop screaming and crying. But as this kid is trying to rip open the box of Pop-Tarts, she's still screaming like she's on fire and trying to rip open the box of Pop-Tarts. Not sponsored by Kellogg's or Pop-Tarts or anything. It's just the way. It's actually the store brand toaster treat. But anyway. And yeah, I think this is strange because, yeah, normally kids will stop screaming when they get what they want. But this kid is still screaming her poor head off. And it is quite a large order, so I'm bringing up, and the kid, the mother, and the grandmother. The grandmother said, "Just take the kid out to the car. Just take the kid out. I'm tired of hearing her scream." It's like, yeah, I could have done that an hour and a half ago, but hey, whatever. It's now you're out of the store and you're dealing with your kid, and so it was a fairly good size order. So it took a while for me to ring up, and so the lady takes the kid out to deal with the kid, and grandmother stays and deals with the order. And as I'm finishing up the order, the mother's coming back into the store. But the kid stopped screaming. But here's the thing. The kid stopped screaming, but she's still shaking. She's trying to suck her thumb, but she can't get her thumb into her mouth because she's shaking too hard. I'm kind of concerned for the poor kid. I ask, is that kid all right? It's a little disconcerting that a random cashier is showing a little more concern for the kid than her actual parental figures. But her mother and her grandmother say, no, she just gets like that when she doesn't get her sugar. And they say it just like that, very dismissive. Yeah, she just acts like that when she doesn't get her sugar. Yeah, they say like this every time the kid runs low on sugar, she starts screaming and shaking like that. It's like she's screaming like she's in agony. Yeah, this all started right when I was starting to get interested in the keto diet. I'm seeing some serious red flags that whenever this kid is low on her sugar, she starts acting in this manner. She starts screaming like she's on fire and shivering and shaking because she doesn't have enough sugar. And whenever she starts acting like that, they just pump her full of sugar. And then they scold her and punish her for screaming in agony and shivering and shaking. She gets punished for it. Hey, I'm not a parent. I'm not a doctor. I'm not even a babysitter. So it is a little discerning that I'm showing more interest, more concern for this kid than her parental figures. I don't know. I'm seeing this from the outside, so maybe she is just throwing a tantrum. She's just really good at it. Her physical well-being really isn't my concern. It's not my responsibility to make sure her levels are okay. Her sugar levels are okay. I realize there's no way to tell if there's like she's actually diabetic or something, just by knowing just by that her parents' admission that she starts screaming when she gets low on sugar. When she gets low on sugar, she starts screaming and shaking and shivering and shaking. And then when she gets her sugar, she eventually stops shivering and shaking. I don't know. That sounds like something pretty serious. The way people just treat sugar. Whenever I say I'm doing the keto diet, oh, they can't quit sugar because they just can't quit sugar. It's like, seriously? Yeah, you can. But I don't know. I just feel bad for this kid. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being overly concerned for this little kid that just whenever she can't get enough sugar, she starts acting like that, and the parents just give her sugar whenever she starts acting like that. And on the other hand, when she does act like that, okay, you're shivering and shaking and screaming and crying. Here's your sugar. Here's your treat for acting like that. I don't know. Maybe even if she doesn't have any actual medical problems, she's learning that if she hollers and screams and acts like that, she gets her Pop-Tarts or whatever. I don't know if that's a good way to raise a kid either. But I'm not a parent. I'm not responsible for anybody's kids, so I wish them well. But and if the parents can't even care enough to raise their kids, why should I? Why should a cashier? Oh well. But that's store stories every Friday. I want to talk about the weird stuff dealing with the grocery store and the people who work with at a grocery store. Like, favorite, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And tell me if I'm being just overly concerned in the comments. I don't know. It just people say that diabetes is more of an older person's disease, but now that people are just pumped full of sugar whenever they start acting a tantrum, it's really starting to be a thing. But I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Have a nice day.